Well, hello ladies and gentlemen. I'm going through my 2020 shed antler collection for this year. These are all sheds that I found this spring. I totaled over 100 kilometers traveled by foot. I'm going to start with the mule deer sheds first, and then we're going to jump into the elk sheds. Found this guy along a nice deer trail, tucked up in some buckbrush. This guy here, he's got a lot of nice color still. Probably was no more than a week or two old on the ground when I found him. He's got a 17-inch tine here on the back. This one antler scores right around 75 inches, so giving him a reasonable spread credit, he'd probably be pretty close to that 170 mark, which is pretty awesome for a mule deer up here in northern BC. That one was a pretty cool one to find. It was pretty exciting. I did actually hike pretty hard in the area close by and never did find the match, so who knows, maybe next year we'll look a little harder and see if we can turn them up. This one's a lot more bleached out, but this one was just along a skid trail. We were actually hiking back to the truck, a buddy and I, and he walked right past it and I didn't, so pretty cool. This one's got a pretty bloody base on this one. This one here was the first brown deer shed of the year. Found this one on an open hill slope. We actually figured we saw this buck back in the November hunting season, so that was sure pretty neat. Always fun to find an antler from a buck that you saw in person. This one here is a pretty young 4-pointer. Pretty spindly. Lost a bit of color there, but still pretty cool. This 4-pointer I found actually on the same day that my dog got heat exhaustion. That's how it goes sometimes. Doesn't always work out how you hope. These two here still actually have me a tad bit confused, to be honest. They were found probably a 45-minute drive apart from each other, so I mean, it is possible that they could be from the same deer, but who knows. Regardless, they're definitely not ones with genetics that you want in your deer herd, but that's alright. Pretty cool to find though. This one here was the very first deer shed of this year. Found this one back in early March. Still a lot of snow on the ground. Cool little drop tine shed. This one's the smallest one of this year actually. This one was actually the same day that I found the biggest 4-pointer of the year, that big brown deer shed at the very beginning. Scratch that, that's a lie. This was a different day. This is the one I was thinking of. Pretty cool main beam on this guy. Another 2-point shed. And a couple real old ones. This one's, I would say, at least 5 years old, maybe older. This was the deer shed that wrapped everything up for me this year. This was actually out bear hunting. The link to that video is also to the top part of your screen, but this one's got a pretty cool brow tine. Pretty heavy actually. Pretty badly cracked, but still cool to find, that's for sure. That is it for the deer sheds. We're going to move on to the elk sheds now. These ones are kind of weird looking, pretty old actually. This one's starting to turn a little bit pink, and the other's definitely pretty old as well. This one here was pretty cool 5-point shed. Josh actually has the other side of this bull. Found them a little ways apart, but what gave them away was that main beam right there. Pretty nice color on the inside still. Probably a, I don't know, year or two old if I had to guess. Here's another, it's a pretty small 5-pointer. This one here has got kind of a unique spot right here on the main beam, right below the royal. We actually saw that same kind of formation on another shed Josh found, but from a year following actually. that side was the right side, but quite a bit bigger, so we figured it was the same bull from maybe a year or two later. Definitely a young bull here, but still pretty cool. This one here is a pretty nice 5-pointer. Definitely fooled me actually. I saw him tines up. This side's still got a fair bit of color, so I figured it was maybe a year or two old at most, but I flipped it over and that was the color on the bottom side. So I think probably what happened is this shed got dropped tines down and then somehow ended up getting flipped over tines up. Pretty good third actually on this guy. Would have been cool to find the other side from him, but maybe next year. This one here is kind of a unique bull. Motorcycles. Try that again. Josh actually has the other side to this guy as well. That side is just a 5-pointer, but very, very similar. Interesting tines on this one, not a lot of curvature to them. Pretty good size base on this one too. If I had to guess, I would say this bull is actually pretty old. Just kind of going downhill in the antler department, so kind of got a cool main beam at the end there. He kind of flares out to the side. I'd say probably last year's shed. Still got a lot of color, but definitely not as brown as some of the ones here that I'll show you in a second. These two here are definitely fresh browns from this year. Originally I thought they were a match based on the color and the bases. Yeah, look at them there. They're very similar, but looking at where the points come off the beam, I have kind of a hard time believing they are, so I would say not a match. But anyways, like I said, both fresh browns from this year for sure. This one here has got really long eye guards, broken third, and a little bit chipped on the top there too, so really cool, nice dark brown, beautiful color on this guy. Not a real big burr on it, still a young bull, but those brow tines sure got me excited seeing those sticking up. I thought maybe I'd found a big one, but yeah, still disappointing after that. Found this one way at the very end. I actually thought it had fallen off Josh's pack, but sure enough, it was a new one. It's got a broken second there. Everything's kind of packed up tight up top there. Pretty cool looking antler. I saved the best for last, obviously. This is the big 6x6 set that I found right at the very beginning of our trip. Here's the big left side. This bull's got some pretty nice eye guards. Broken third. A little bit weak on the top, but got a little bit of shade from the sun, so it's got a fair bit more color than his right side. Not a real big burr actually on this bull, but based on the mass, I would say he's fairly mature. On the right side, this guy's got 2 broken brows. Again, a little bit weak on the top. Pretty nice third though. A little more bleached out. This one was a little more in the wide open, but still got some decent color on the inside there. It'll be interesting to see if we can find this bull again this next year. Well, that's it for this year's collection. It was my best year of shed hunting ever, but I also walked further than I had ever hiked before in a year. There's lots of exciting stuff coming this year. My brother and I actually recently have finalized some plans to go sheep hunting this fall in the Northern Rockies for stone sheep. We'll be trying to get him his first ram. I'm planning to try to document that whole hunt. Here in BC, we're so fortunate in the hunts that we can do, even just general open season. We actually recently got the LEH results back as well. Brother and I, we both drew mountain goat tags, so that'll be a cool new experience we haven't done before. It's going to be an awesome year. You don't want to miss a thing, I tell you that much. So we'll see you on the next video.